Hi everyone, Rachel Jensen here, broker owner of Luna Realty Belize on the beautiful island of Ambergris Caye. In this session, we are in the inbox. This is when we answer questions that are asked by folks like you, whether it's about real estate here in Belize, Belize generally. And today we are on question 22. If you're new to the series, find the playlist. We'll put the link in the bottom of the notes section there so you can easily access it. Find the playlist, and then from there, go and listen to all of the questions that we've answered. We do try to keep these under 15 minutes, ideally about 7 minutes, so you can get all of the information that you need, or at least a good bit of information to help you as you're looking at your real estate here in the country. So today's question was asked by Richie, and he said, what is the average rental occupancy in Belize? And this is obviously a great question that's asked to us quite a bit by people who are looking at investing here in Belize. Obviously, if you're looking at it from an investment perspective, you want to know the rental numbers, you want to know occupancy, you want to know the average daily rate. And what I like to do is guide people directly to the Belize Tourism Board website. And I'm going to show you how to do that here. And then I did pull some of the numbers to be able to give you a little bit more information. But first and foremost, I'm going to show you how to find this information at any time that you want it. So you go to BelizeTourismBoard.org, BelizeTourismBoard.org. And then from there, you go to Belize Tourism. And the site map there at the top, you go to Belize Tourism, jump down to statistics. And then as you scroll, you're going to see that there is a section here for more information about the tourism stats. So it's a little hard to read. I know it's quite small. You can make it a little bit bigger, and you can do so by clicking the 3 buttons here. And then there's this screen, you will click that, and that'll help to make it a little bit bigger for you. But I did pull some of the information on the slide, so it'll be a little bit easier to read. But what you'll be able to do is scroll down a little bit, and then there's the carrots here on the right-hand side. So you can go back and forth between the pages. This is showing the overnight tourist arrivals by visitor type. This page here is showing the regional Caribbean overnight arrivals. Continuing on here, this is going accommodation. So occupancy, average daily rate or average room rate, which we're going to take a look at, and then it just continues on from there. So with that being said, you're able to find it. Again, it's BelizeTourismBoard.org. Go to Belize Tourism on the top of the sitemap, and then jump down to statistics. So we're going to just jump back to the session here. And I did take a screen capture of the occupancy number for 2023. This is year to date. At this point of getting the information, they only had up to April on here. So that's what we're going to be sharing here on the screen. But as you can see, in the Belize Tourism Board stats, they broke down the different regions, and then by there or through that, you're able to see what the occupancy is in that region. So if you're an investor, you typically want to go where occupancy is the highest. And I'm going to point out a couple to you there on the screen. Belize Tourism, or Belize City rather, they do tend to get higher occupancy than some other parts of the country simply because it is a hub. So you'll typically fly in, fly out, and it's also that's where a lot of business is conducted. That's where they have some of the government offices, and it tends to be the place where they have conferences and larger events, because that's where in the country they have the ability to hold the larger number of people in the higher occupancy for the higher number of groups. From there, we can look down and we can see Cayo was at about 30% coming down. And I'm just going to highlight a couple of places. Hopkins was 47%, Placencia 43%, and then Ambergris Caye was 53%. So Ambergris Caye, as we can see, has the highest occupancy so far year to date. I do want to mention too, I know Hopkins has been on the radar for a lot of people. It's pretty interesting here to see that Hopkins was at 47.8%. That is some of the highest numbers that I've seen for Hopkins over the years. There's, good reason for that. There's also a limited number of rooms, hotel rooms in Hopkins. So as more people are drawn to Hopkins and drawn to visiting that area, there's a limited number. So we do see that occupancy goes up. So that is quite interesting. So you will see here, as we look at the details a little bit more for Ambergris Caye, February was actually the busiest month at about 62%. Now, note these are just averages. There's always going to be hotels that are performing higher than the average, and then those that are performing lower than the average. If you're looking at rental occupancy and rental numbers, and you're looking primarily for an investment property, one of the best things that you can also do is go to TripAdvisor and see what the top 10 hotels are in that area. And then you can assume, can't guarantee, but we can assume that those numbers for occupancy would be a little bit higher than what we're seeing here in the averages. But again, good to keep these numbers in the back of your mind. And again, you can access all of this through the Belize Tourism Board website and get updated as you are listening to the sessions here. So I apologize, this came out a little bit fuzzy, but this is the average room rate for 2023. And again, I'm going to just highlight some of the places that we mentioned, Belize City, but again, that's really just for business. We don't really see too many people investing in Belize City, but you know, there's a place to bear in mind. Hopkins there, and this is in Belize dollars, by the way. So you want to cut it in half, and then that's what the average room rate would be. So Hopkins, for example, we're seeing here, it's about 460, so it'd be 230 US dollars a night in Hopkins for the average daily rate, coming down to Placencia 481. So it's about 240 a night rather. So you can see there's not actually that much difference between Hopkins and Placencia in terms of pricing. I know a lot of people tend to look at Placencia, but if you're looking specifically on the mainland and you want to be coastal, do keep Hopkins in the back of your mind too. It is a smaller version of Placencia. And then also Ambergris Caye, as you can see, isn't quite the highest, but it is the second highest here on the screen. And that's coming in at 575, about 575 Belize dollars. And we can see the only number that tops that here is offshore south. So those are the islands off of the southern part of the country. And those do tend to be higher average daily rates or higher average room rates, simply because they are more of that all-inclusive type, since you're coming to the island and you're not really leaving for much. So just to give you that information there. So I'm going to again jump back to Ambergris because I know that's where a lot of the focus tends to be for rental investment. And we can see that March actually had the highest average daily rate at a little over $300 a night. And these 4 months that we're seeing here are considered high season. And then March is when we have a ton of spring breakers coming down and families traveling because kids are on spring break. And so I'm not really surprised to see that that number is a little bit higher. But January, February, March, April, there you can see that the average is about 575 Belize dollars on a nightly basis. Again, so when you're running your numbers, you can look at the averages here and then again, go to TripAdvisor, look to see the top 10 hotels, look to see what their rates are. And then from there, you're able to, you know, somewhat have an idea. Obviously, it's still a bit of a guessing game. Make sure you're working with a real estate agent, I would say, and they can probably help you put together a pro forma or profit and loss statement if there isn't one already available for that specific property. But I hope this helps. Again, you can access it at any point. And if you are new to the real estate market here, I highly recommend that you reach out to us for the 12 must know facts before you buy real estate in Belize. I was once a newbie to real estate investing here in the country. And these are some tips that I wish I knew prior to purchasing. So I find them very handy. Hopefully you do too. You can reach out to us, info@lunarealtybelize.com, info@lunarealtybelize.com, and we will get that over to you. If you have any other questions that you would like to hear in the inbox series, feel free to reach out. We'll get those answered for you. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.